where have your deals come from? Because what you'll do is that you'll analyze all these deals and all these closings. And even if you only had 5 closings, okay, in the last 12 months, even if you had 2 closings, whatever it is, what I want you to do though is I want you to look at the source of all of these closings. And I want you to put it next to it. Like, so you have a spreadsheet, you have an address, you have a price, you have how much you made for the deal, and the source. And then you're going to do a little breakdown and a little total on the side that basically just says, hey, this closing, this amount of closings or 2 closings came from this source. X amount of closings came from this source. This is how much money each of these sources made me. Because now you can actually make business decisions. Because if you see, hypothetically, you had 5 closings, okay, in the last trailing 18 months. All of this year, all of last year, you've had 5 closings. And let's just say of the 5 closings, 4 of them all came from one source. Let's say 4 of them came from cold calling. 4 of them came from cold calling, and 1 of them was a referral. That means 80% of your business comes from cold calling, 20% of your business comes from referrals. Okay. And maybe you have 1 deal under contract right now, and you're like, what can I do to improve? That 1 deal also came from cold calling. Well, clearly you can see that a very large percentage of your business is coming from cold calling. Then you want to start analyzing how much time you're actually spending on cold calling. Because hypothetically, if you're spending, let's just say 2 hours a day on cold calling, 10 hours a week, but 80+% of your business that has closed has been cold calling. Imagine what would happen if you spent 4, 5, or 6 hours cold calling and you tripled or at least doubled the amount of hours you spend cold calling. So what I'd recommend is that whatever source is the majority of your closings, because there's typically going to be one that's at least 50% roughly, and you take that and you analyze all of the numbers and you figure out what is the majority of your closings, where is it coming from, and you find that the majority of your closings, or at least 50%, is coming from one thing, and then maybe a mix for the other. What I would do is that I would 2 or 3 or 5x or 10x or 20x the effort of that one majority. Because if you just took all your energy and effort, as an example with cold calling, and let's just say that 2 hours a day on average is equaling 80% of your business, which has equaled, let's say, 4 closings in the last 18 months, we're saying in this hypothetical example, that would give you the idea that if you went to 4 hours, that would give you 8 closings in an 18-month period of time. If you did 6 hours a day, that would give you 12 closings within the next 12 or 18 months. What happens here is that with making just a slight adjustment and spending a majority of the time on the thing that it's actually making you money. Now, this is for anything. So hypothetically, if it was flip-flopped, in 80% of your closings over the last 18 months, hypothetically, or even the last 6 months, 80% of your closings, let's say you closed 5 deals since the beginning of the year, and 80% of those, 4 of the 5, came from referrals or sphere of influence, then guess what you should be spending? Let's just say that every single week you spend 2 hours a day cold calling and 30 minutes a week on referrals. 30 minutes a week is turning into 4 closings. So it's like, okay, well, you want to just infinitely, you want to triple down, quadruple down on whatever source, whatever it is. Okay, whatever that source is, you want to 5 or 10x the amount of effort you're putting into that one thing, right? Because if hypothetically, I notice, like for our team, a large percentage of the business is coming from cold calling. And I noticed that a long time ago. So we started to figure out a way that how can I get my guys to start making the most possible cold calls that an individual can make. So an average guy on our team makes between 5,000 and 15,000 calls a month. What happens is that we found that an agent who does a few things will see a large return on time investment. Okay, but the few things are, for us, obviously, cold calling. Okay, one thing, cold calling. An agent who makes at least 4 hours a day worth of cold calls typically will close at least 4-ish deals a year. Second, an agent on average who generates at least 3 true offers a week will do at least 2 to 3x that per year. Right? So if they're doing however many offers they're getting per week, they're probably going to close something between 2 and 3x that per year. So if you're getting 3 offers a week, they're going to close between 6 and 9 transactions a year. So we know that by following these metrics based on past experience and past performances and metrics that we've tracked, all that we have to do is support our agents to getting at least 3 offers written up per week, which means how many times do they have to pitch a deal? Obviously they have to keep going until they get these offers. And they also are making 4 hours a day worth of of prospecting calls, like cold calls. That individual has a very high likelihood of closing between 4 and 9 transactions a year. And if we can control the price point, okay, by the lead list that we pull, if we can control our price point and try to keep our average sales price to, two and a half, 3 million on average, that means every check we're typically making 100, at five, if 2 million is at 5% is 100 grand, 2.5 million at 5% is 125,000, 3 million at 5%, because we're averaging roughly like 5.25% right now this year. Pretty good. So at 3 million on average, right? We just just even in the last few weeks, like literally we just got a $4.475 million deal accepted for 6% commission. We just got a $10.5 million deal accepted. Actually, we're only going to make about 2.5 points on that $10.5 million deal. We just got a deal accepted for 2.8 million at 5.5%. Just this week we got another deal locked up at 390,000 at 6% commission. We got another one. I mean, like I can go on and on and on here, and this is just in the last 3 weeks, probably 4 or 5 others that I'm forgetting. But the point is, like, when you've got all these deals going together and you can average, at least 5% commission per deal, you have a much higher likelihood of, having a very large month, right? Or a very large quarter or a very large year, right? But this is only coming from the fact that we've been tracking our metrics for a very, very long time.